Hello everybody and welcome back to the SammySnake Racing YouTube channel. My name's Sam, aka SammySnake, aka the fastest snake in the world. And in today's video, we're looking at the data logger. That's right, the brand new data logger that's just been added into the game thanks to Spec 3. Thank you PD for some fresh content. And in this video, we're going to look at exactly how to use the data logger. It's quite a complex bit of equipment. There's lots of menus, lots of different pieces of information. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to be looking at, how to navigate the menus, what they show you, what they tell you, in order so you can use it yourself and start bringing those lap times down. So let's jump in and see what it's all about. Okay, so as you can see, we're in time trial at Suzuka, and there's a new option at the bottom, data logger. So having a quick look at this, you can go to the global rankings or your own collection if you've saved a replay and load up a replay. So if I click on P1 in the world, which is Mourinho with a 159.85, you'll notice that I can't actually open it. So this is only for people who have saved a replay. You can't look at everybody. So if we go to Lewis on the leaderboard, we can actually open this up and have a look at what he's done. Now, I have had a quick look. I need to set a lap and save a replay because I've not saved a replay for my 2:03. So I'm going to have a go at setting a lap and then seeing if we can look at the differences and see how we can use this data to help improve our lap times. At first glance, I'm not 100% sold, but I'm open to this proving me wrong. So first things first, let's set a decent-ish lap so we can get some data to compare this against, and then we'll go through it. Okay, a 2:04.90. That literally took us 5 miles. Quite happy with that. Let's save this replay and see where we're losing the time according to the data. We could see what was happening with the Ghost, where it was getting away. The first couple of sectors didn't seem too bad, but on the last sector, or the third sector, I felt like I was losing quite a bit of time there. So let's see what the data logger tells us. Okay, let's try and take a quick deep dive into this data logger. So the first thing I want to go through is the buttons at the bottom. So you can see there's change view, which is this middle button on your controller. You can cycle through the different views that are available. Square is to pause and play. R2, L2 is to run through the lap forwards and backwards. The right hand analog stick is either to zoom, you can press it up and down, which will zoom in on views such as this track view, which shows you your driving line, or you can press it left and right to zoom in and out of the graph menus. The other thing I want to show you after I've loaded the ghosts or the replay, so top left hand menu, what you could do, you can have a reference lap, such as the fastest replay available, Lewis's, and then a replay that you've saved yourself here. So the triangle button is to change the mode. So as standard, when you're looking at this data logger, you'll see, and I'll zoom in a bit so it doesn't play quite as fast. You'll see that those triangles, oh, and by the way, you can change that from triangles to cars if you like. As we're going through, even though Lewis is faster, and you can see that in the delta, is gaining, there's no difference in positioning of these triangles. So if you press triangle, that allows you to see where the car is moving ahead. So coming into turn one, he moves ahead slightly and then starts pulling away more and more as the lap progresses. Make sure you press triangle so you can see that. So there are your buttons. That's how to load a replay. Let's actually go through the pieces of information that you can see. So view one, we can see the speed and the gap and the delta. And as you go through the lap, it tells you the speed that you're going in comparison to the lap. They're colored. So we've got to remember that the blue is Lewis's and the yellow is mine. So you can verify if you're going fast enough around a corner and where you're gaining and losing time. And then this track view is really good for checking that you are on the optimal racing line. So if we zoom in here, and I know I got this one wrong, I broke a little bit late here and ended up going wide and deep. And that you can see there's a big difference in that driving line. So you can zoom in and out and see exactly where you're going wrong. And because I broke late, I went slightly to the left, and then I was braking myself and went deep. And look at the delta as that happens. We go from 0.2. By the time we finish going around that corner, we're at over 0.4. So good pieces of information. If we cycle to view two, this is more graph focused. There's all sorts of different pieces of information. Lateral and longitude acceleration are basically just graphs in which you can see G-forces, forwards and backwards for longitude. Lateral is left and right. It's cool to see it, but I don't think there's really much value in it. Centripetal acceleration is the same, just one of those cool G-force graphs. But in terms of using this data logger to improve your lap times, not that great, not that useful. RPM and gear relate to each other. So if I zoom out a little bit, and I did notice one thing that I'm doing slightly differently. So coming down the home straight, I can see that I'm revving it out more. Maybe I'm over revving it. I should be changing gears sooner. But they relate exactly to each other. So you can see I've revved it out to 8,200 and Lewis is revving it out to 7,900. And guess what? If we go to the gears, it just shows you the same. I go from, Lewis goes from 4th to 5th sooner, and they relate to each other. But the ones to focus on this graph are the throttle and braking inputs. You can see how your technique is different to the faster replay, and if you notice a big difference in the time coming into a particular corner, you can assess whether that's something that you need to improve. These are the main ones that you want to look at, to be honest. But I don't like the fact that you can't see the braking and the throttle inputs with the line. So you have to look at this and then cycle through to another view where you can see the driving line, because sometimes it can be misleading. You'll see that perhaps coming around a corner, you've lost a 1/10 of a second, and you'll be looking at the view that shows you braking and acceleration inputs, and you'll think, oh, right, I need to brake like that. But lo and behold, if you look on the other view, it's actually because you're taking a different line. So if we use the example of this hairpin, which we've just showed, there's a bit of time loss. If you just focused on this view and you're looking at your braking inputs, you're like, oh, right, yeah, I've done this with my brakes and I've done that, so I need to change that. Without being able to see that your line was different, it might be misleading. But let's move on to view 3. So view 3, you can see what you can see in view 1 with the driving line and the speed and gap, but you also get this box. And in this box, you can see the speed and RPM displayed in a fancy graph. I don't think it's as much use. Centripetal acceleration, again, it's just showing you the forces. Cool thing, but not really much use if you wanted to use this to improve your lap times. Car information, no use if you're doing daily races and setups aren't a thing, because you're using exactly the same car. But if you are in a race where setups are allowed, you can check what their setup is. So that is an interesting feature for when that applies. Now, let's actually give you some instructions to try and use this to assess where you are losing and gaining time. The one thing I'm going to say is I think you need quite a high level of intellect and racing intelligence to be able to use the information in this data logger and to be able to understand it and know how you're supposed to correct things. But I will have a go at trying to give an example of where there is time loss and what information you can look at. So I'm just cycling through to see where the most obvious time loss is. So to be fair, there's a 2/10 time loss coming around the last corner, the last little chicane. So we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna analyze that. So if there's a significant time loss, and I'll just go through it again, you know, it goes from 6/10 to 8/10. That's basically almost an exact amount of 2/10. What we're going to look at here is the braking and acceleration markers, inputs. So always try and make note of the blue line is Lewis, this quick one, and the yellow is the slow one. So, and also be wary. I'm not sure whether that spike there, you see how this spikes, that could be relating to a gear change. So I just want to verify this. Yeah, that is interesting, actually. It's changing and changing down. That can be misleading, those spikes with the gear changes. But let's assess this anyway. So coming in to, and we'll zoom out, the last chicane here. We'll first verify that the lines are similar. So coming into this corner, remember Lewis is the yellow car. He's miles ahead. No, Lewis is the blue car, but it's the blue line, but the yellow car. It's quite misleading. He cuts across and keeps it over to the right-hand side more. So there is a definite, he's cutting this, we're cutting the corner exactly the same amount, but he's keeping it over to the right-hand side better. And then cutting more across to the left-hand side and coming out of the corner straighter. So that's something that we need to identify that's happening first of all. That's one correction. Let's actually go to the braking and throttle application. So Blue line, throttle, pretty similar, to be honest. We're lifting off, and then I am braking slightly sooner. So I'm braking sooner than Lewis, and we'll look at the delta. The delta should go up, yeah, because he's braking later than me, but he's holding the brakes longer. So what he's doing here, and we'll look at the apex speed. So this all has to be in relation to the speed. What Lewis is doing is coming in. We're very similar on speed, but he's braking later. He's braking longer, and he's bringing the apex corner speed down. As we look where we both stop braking, he's slowed the car down more at that point. And that's to line it up. So he's at 47. That's 10 mile an hour difference. That's a big difference. So he's slowing it down more to the right-hand side. And you'll see, actually, I gain a bit of time back because of that speed. But if we flick the view, we'll see that's why I go wide. Because I'm coming faster initially through that corner. And what that allows Lewis to do is to then come out of the corner much faster. So these are the acceleration points that we're looking at here. Lewis is much more aggressive on the acceleration coming out of the corner. And because of that, watch the speed. Lewis is now coming out of the corner 10 mile an hour faster. Classic example of fast in, slow out for me, and slow in, fast out for Lewis. And you'll see, because he does that, he loses time a little bit at one point on entry, but then coming out of the corner is a lot faster, and he gains all the way to the finishing line, and he gains 2/10. So that's how you read the information. That's how the graph looks. There's an example of how you can analyze your lap time. I've learned something that I need to correct. I need to slow it down more initially for the first corner so I can get a better exit. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope this is useful. It's a nice addition for the Spec 3 update to have a data logger. If you did enjoy it and you appreciate the information, do me a favor, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe for future content. But from the fastest snake in the world, it's over and out. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.